You know what? I understand when people say that. People don't understand.
Yeah.
When you go back, I don't want to fucking go back to prison. I keep doing fucking shit that has sent me back.
Right.
But like, they don't fix the problem of why we keep going back.
People that have not had loved ones or friends that have gone through that, they don't give a shit. We've had people comment on the show saying, stay out of prison then.
I just said, you guys need a voice. We've published now over 700 articles about prison, written all by incarcerated writers, a couple mothers, mostly incarcerated people, and actually mostly men, and mostly in maximum security prisons, and mostly lifers.
This call is from a federal prison.
Misunderstood, yeah. Judged by the cover. Misunderstood, yeah. From one to another.
Hi, my name is Tiffany and I'm fresh out the feds.
Hi, my name is Lisa and I'm not. And today we are so excited to have our guest today. Her name is Loen Kelley. She is in New York City and she's got a lot of experience dealing with prison inmates and corresponding with them and writing articles on them and their situations. And we got to connect about a week ago and we're so excited to have her on the show. Loen, give us a little background about you.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, I run Prison Writers, and I started it back in 2015 when I was a TV producer covering true crime and other sort of crime documentaries before it was called true crime, actually.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool.
And yeah, and I did a documentary on one case. I did updated 4 hours on it, and I got to know this main subject pretty well. He went to prison. He witnessed a guard killing an inmate, and he was freaking out. He called me. I was like, "There's no way that really happened. It can't happen in America. No way." And this was before all the many podcasts and TV shows and books and articles that have been published by, now are published in all sorts of, newspapers from prisoners. And so I just said, you guys need a voice if this is really going on. And so I started this website and and I paid them. I still do. And so we've published now over 700 articles about prison, written all by incarcerated writers, a couple mothers too, but mostly incarcerated people, and actually mostly men, and mostly in maximum security prisons, and mostly lifers. So it's it's just been so insightful. I mean, I think that most people think they know about prison, and Tiffany, you might have this same feeling, but that most people think they know about prison now because there's all these, all of this material and content, but they really don't.
No.
And they really don't.
No.
And so the Prison Writers sort of has a twofold purpose. One, it's to build awareness for people who, think every prisoner is just a horrible person that doesn't deserve anything.
Because there's a stigma to it, and people do think that. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And then the other side of it is for the incarcerated writers, in the sense that they have sort of a new identity. I mean, they even after writing 2 articles, these people will tell me, like, you've changed my life. You've given me this identity as a writer instead of as a prisoner when you Google me. And, I have purpose and meaning, and just to be heard and to think somebody on the outside cares. And, so that just, that's what keeps me going. I do obviously hope and pray that there's a lot of people reading the articles and saying, this writer is just such a different animal that I thought, or I shouldn't say animal, but a different
But no,
person than I.
definitely, because they do think of it like that. So yeah, like
Yeah.
like not maybe not an animal, and they're not what is perceived from the original article that was probably written about them when they originally got incarcerated. You know, especially if you're doing maximum security
Yes.
time, then there were articles written about you, and it was probably horrific. So yeah, to be able to write an article and you publish it from the standpoint of the real human being, yeah, that's a big deal. And it does probably make them feel like they have a purpose and make them feel a lot better about themselves, because when you're in there, you don't have a voice anymore. You can't even, I mean, unless you're a guy, because the guys really have more access to like phones and stuff, you know, but we don't even have access to the outside world. So we really don't know what's going on unless we see the news, you know, so we aren't heard and we're not seen, you know.
Absolutely.
Can I ask you a question about that? The first inmate, when he contacted you and said that he had seen the guard kill somebody, did you publish that article? Did you publish that story?
Ironically, that guy has never written a story for
Wow.
me.
So
he's just not a writer.
Yeah.
He's just not a writer. But
but when that
he was more the
happened, though,
inspiration.
but when that happened, was there what were you able to do about it? Did something happen
Nothing.
to that guard? Nothing.
No.
Nothing
No.
happened. Isn't that insane?
The reason is because if you pretty much if you let it be known that guards are doing these horrible things, you will get retaliated against. So, the last thing he wanted was any,
because you have a guard
notoriety.
that had friends. Those are like, they are a team. Those
Yeah.
guards are a unit.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you expose something like that, and those guards do retaliate, and they'll do mass retaliations, you know?
Absolutely.
And if they're not doing that,
Absolutely.
then they'll do single out retaliations. And
Yeah.
they will get their way. Like
Yeah.
whether they plant a blade underneath your mattress,
Yeah.
or they bring drugs into the institution and put in your sweetener box, and then they go to do a cell check and there was drugs in your sweetener box and no one put that in there.
Absolutely.
But yes, an officer probably did that. You know, it's very, I mean, pull the label apart off of the back of your mayonnaise and then place drugs behind your mayonnaise label. You didn't put that there.
it's so
Somebody
sad.
else did, you know.
so sad.
That shit
Yeah.
happens a lot.
Or just tell some other inmate to beat the crap out of you.
Oh,
you
that
know?
too. Oh yeah, big time. And that does happen too. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do you so do you feel like there's a way to bring awareness to these issues? Do you ever see this changing? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty firmly believe. I have come to a lot of conclusions, that I think are interesting, because very few people have exposure to national prisoners. Advocacy groups sort of work within one state,
Sure.
or maybe within one issue across nationally, but lawyers, they're all within the state. And so I mean, one thing I think I've learned is that one of the big predictors of success, and there are a couple pretty firm ones, but one is your contact with the outside world, and particular because these men have been in there a long time, and so they, you get, as you know, Tiffany, you get sort of further and further away from the life that you knew, and you just feel so disconnected. You feel like, how am I ever going to get back out there? Technology, I don't even know how to talk to women anymore. And the contact, not only is good for basically when they get out, they have these people who are, supporters, but it's just, the first time, for the longest time, I didn't even use my real name in the beginning, because nobody was talking to prisoners. And I didn't use my real name. That changed pretty fast. I was like, this is ridiculous. But and then it was a long time before I gave my phone number out, and I'll just never forget the first guy I talked to, Jerry in Michigan. Still a good friend. He calls me and we go through the collect call business, push the button. And then his first thing was like, I'm so scared. I don't even know what to say to you. And I'm like, Jerry, we've been talking for 2 years we're like best friends, I thought, and he's like, I know, but I just
But
don't
it's so
know, because I haven't
awkward.
talked to anyone like
It
before.
is
And
like
I'm
that.
I don't know if I'm afraid I'm going to talk to you like I talk to inmates. It's just going to pop out. Like, I don't know how to talk to people anymore.
Yeah.
And that was such a wake up call. So,
it is hard when you, even getting out of prison, after I did my 10 years and I got out, I felt like I walked around with the sign on my head that said, just got out the feds. Like, literally, I went to prison and I had a Razor phone, and I got out and we had iPhones and Galaxies and spaceships basically in my hand. I went to prison. We didn't have Google Maps. I was still writing directions down on paper to go anywhere. So, yeah. And so talking to people was very weird. So when you're in prison, you were dealing with maximum security people generally, but so I was in general population. However, even in general population, we shut ourselves up in the free world. Like, you have to numb yourself out. So I always tell people that are going to prison after like 3 years, that's really when it starts to fade away, being free. By the time you hit your 10th year, you don't even remember what freedom tastes like, nor do you really care, because you've been locked up so long that it's like you want to go home, but that's like always like a dream. You want to go home, but like,
are you talking about the people that aren't going to be going home?
yeah, like after a while, you just kind of, you forget. You really do. It's like, you think like, it's like everybody wants to go home. But after a while, that becomes
you have to settle in.
Yeah, you just get comfortable. But talking, like, there is a totally different way you talk to an inmate than the way you talk to like a free world person. There is like, there's like a whole nother way of being in
language.
It really is.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. It's a whole different respect for life.
Yeah, no, I think, I think, now I talk to, I don't know, maybe 20 different prisoners call me pretty regularly. And so, we just talk about anything, not very rarely about the writing. And they just sort of like to hear what's going on with me, and we talk about what's going on with them. But I in the beginning, I didn't know, like, do I tell them I'm going on this vacation, to Costa Rica, and I'm going to do all these fabulous things, and and I realized later, yeah, you do, because it's just they want. I mean, from the minute I picked up the phone, and I've just always talk to all these guys, just. Like I talked to my friends.
Yeah,
and
of course.
That, I think, was the biggest thing that kind of shocked them. That I just was like, hey, what is going on? And, wow, you're treating me like a normal.
They want to hear that too. They want to hear.
That?
They want to hear what you have going on in your life.
It's like, makes them feel like it's a normal conversation.
And also they want to know what's going on out there in the free. They want to feel like they're a part of something too.
Yeah, right. No, absolutely. They just want connection with outside, and if that connection gets personal, all the better.
Right.
But So, but one thing that I think that you guys would find interesting, and that is kind of what I'm focusing on now is, when people go into prison, and again, my reference is mostly like long-term, sentences and maximum security and stuff. But when these guys go into prison, they pick up where street life left off, and they pretty much find their group, and which some prisons call a car, some don't.
That's what they call in the feds.
They find their.
Yeah, because we have a lot. Federal sentences are generally long-term sentences, so they're not like maximum security state, but it's definitely the mandatory minimum generally in the feds is like 10 years for drug. You know what I mean, for drugs. So it's like
absolutely.
Like I did my 10 years. So it's generally like long, but they do call it cars, and exactly.
Yeah. So, you find your car, it's usually some neighborhood kid that you knew or whatever. And, and you're so in shock that you have to spend the next, 10 to 30 to life in prison, that you just don't even know how to deal with it. So, of course, the people who say, come on, let's do drugs, whatever, you're just right there doing it and like trying to continue sort of the party. You're not going to like join programs or anything like that. But what happens, because for the longest time, I couldn't figure out why am I only getting contacted by, guys have been in for 20 years. They're, over 30, and, what's going on? And the reason is because around 10 years after kind of fucking around for 10 years, now give or take 5, very, very big range, but they kind of wake up, they go like, I'm exhausted of this life. I'm not going to, get shanked again because I can't pay my gambling debt. And I had to gamble because I have a debt from drugs. And, and it's just, I'm exhausted. I've grown out of crime. And,
so it's the same as the outside, except I'm doing it on the inside.
It's exactly the same as the outside, but doing it on the inside. It's exactly, it is the same hustle, different setting.
Same setting.
Yeah. I mean, you grow out of crime, basically. And they just wake up, they go, like, Jose over there has like this mellow, cool life, talks on the phone to his family. I want that.
He's happy. He's healthy.
They have this big transformation, and and so I mean, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but what's really interesting to me now is like, is there a way to make that 10-year period shrink? Is there a way to get assimilated to prison faster? And I think that there are, all prisoners have tablets now. And, there's helpful educational and vocational stuff, probably not watched very much on those tablets, but
not
they
on the
don't
ones in the feds,
have,
feds don't for whatever reason.
What, say
the
that
feds
again?
don't for whatever reason. They don't have anything like really inspirational on there.
On the tablets?
Yeah, I think maybe
what
they've
is
got
on
like
the tablets?
Well, music and games.
That's it.
Right. Yeah. They're supposed to be getting visits on it, I guess, but that's like, I've been hearing that for years. But there's maybe, I think that there might be something a little inspirational on it now that I might be thinking about it. You know what? There might be one like,
but nothing educational.
Nothing.
Or anything like that?
No, nothing educational.
Wow.
No, nothing educational.
But the thing that they don't have, and I want to ask you this, Tiffany, is that what they don't have is they have things sort of to prepare for reentry, right? But they don't have anything that gets you from the day you enter prison to sort of get to the part where you're ready for reentry.
No,
there's nothing that helps somebody figure out how to navigate prison. How do you make the best of your time?
Oh, right.
Instead of wasting the first 10 years knowing you're going to change. Is there a way to use existing prisoners who've been in there for 25 years or people on the outside who've been in for 10 or 25 years? Can you take those people and have them sit down in a video and talk to the new prisoner and say like
how to acclimate into prison? Right.
Yeah. And is there a way to sort of inspire them? It just to give them an alternative. They don't have to, they might not fall into it right away. They might get into,
But even this is what to expect when you get here. This is what,
Yeah. And just
like
to
what
help
we were talking about. What did you call it again?
This program that I kind of have.
But like the 3 things. What were you?
Arriving in prison, then surviving in prison, and thriving in prison.
Yeah, that would be great.
Right.
Like and have it from, people like you, Tiffany. I mean, sitting down and go, look, I wish I knew this stuff. Here's what I wish I knew. Yeah, you're not going to listen to me because I wouldn't have listened to me either. But here's what you're going to wish you did. Sort of, not like preachy, not religious.
Definitely.
Yeah, because you went through all of those phases.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Too,
You
right?
go through all that is like a legitimate, that's a great idea. Yeah, because you do go through, like, for one, generally, the people that going in with long sentences are young. So they come in, they're young. And when you go, especially for the men, politicking is really big. So it's like they go with the whites go with the whites, black goes with black, Mexican go with Mexicans, your gang goes with your gang. All the, like, you can be independent. Yeah, but that generally comes when you're older because I feel like when you're young and you're going in, a lot of prospecting goes on, So there's a lot, for the men, more violence, there's just more.
Yeah,
and it's really hard for them just to stay out of the way. But there are ways to do after we doing 20 years, like there is a way to do your time where you can be comfortable, and not get into
Not
the mix.
have to deal with that.
Yeah, because at the but at
not
the
in
end
the
of
beginning,
not in the
though,
beginning
right?
at all.
Yeah.
No, in the beginning,
Yeah.
no. And honestly, even giving a book on it, you know what I mean? For women, that would be great because women can do things to stay out of trouble. Like they really can. They don't have
to come in and
you don't have to click up with people. You don't have
Okay.
to be friends with
It's not
people.
the same.
You don't have to do anything with anybody because women, blacks hang with the whites. It's all the
everybody
same.
hangs out together.
Yeah. If you're cool, you're cool, It can be cliquey, but it's more like high school popularity, That's kind of how women are. Men are different. It's like
They're
are
mean. They're violent.
Yeah, yes, and especially in state prison and in and a lot of compounds for the men are like that, but there's some low facilities that aren't that crazy. But men are more forced into their survival, and they're more forced into the hustle, into the whoever they're going to be around, And then weak men get taken advantage of, and they get hurt, and they rape each other.
I was going to say sexually.
Very
Yeah,
much so. And it's not about him being gay. It's about control. They rape each other out of control. They hurt each other out of just control. It's just like the way men are, It's
so
like
sad.
It's just so it's really hard for the skinny white boy to go in and try to be independent because they're just going to
Because he needs somebody to protect him.
straight up. For real.
Yeah, they are. I mean, that is the problem is, you're white, you arrive in prison, and some white guy scoops you up and brings you around and says, "Here's your group."
Yeah.
And if you don't fight, when you're asked to fight,
Yeah.
we'll kill you, or
That's
we'll,
so sad.
I mean,
Scary.
you are just put into a position, but there are
CJ, you're a skinny little white dude. Don't ever go to prison.
well, but it's also, the little black, the 18-year-old black kid is going to come in, and he's
black,
going to
white,
find
Mexican, it's all of them. And it takes a strong-minded person to get through prison. It really does.
Even if you don't start out strong-minded,
you become
have
it.
to
You end
become
up. No, you end up that way.
You have to.
Because there's a lot of people. I've seen many, many women that come in that are so
I've
sweet
seen women
and
that
so.
way, too.
Yeah, there's a lot of women that are. Oh, and they get taken advantage of too. Women will take advantage of people really quick. Whenever I see new people that come in, I generally don't just go talking to new people just because I've been down so long that I just don't. But if I pay attention to somebody and I notice that they're all right, like if I'm in line with them more than once or twice or three times, whatever, and I see that they seem to be staying to themselves and they seem all right or whatever, I'll give them the rundown on who to talk to, who not to talk to, who's trouble, who's not. You know what I mean? Who's a thief? Who's not?
Just trying to help them out.
Don't do this. These are the do's and the don'ts. This is the way that people are going to be mean to you. You do these things. Don't take a shower twice a day. People are going to talk shit. These are all things that just keep up after yourself, clean your shit up, be respectful. Don't.
And those are all the things that, like you were saying,
exactly.
if you can hand them that on a tablet, then people like Tiffany wouldn't have to tell them that. If they just
exactly. Yeah, for real. The rules to incarceration.
Yeah.
When you're in there, mind your business. Don't be overly talkative. Don't be overly talkative. Don't do that.
Does anybody want to be overly talkative?
Yeah, they
when
are.
They first
of course, they get in there and people are nervous and they start talking. I can't stand that. So it's these are just things that are don't be if you're in line, ask a question, but don't ask a million questions. You know what I mean? Wait to find someone that you're comfortable with because people don't like that. Nobody's really that nice in there. We're not nice. Honestly, and you can't, I wasn't really that nice. You can't be nice. If you're nice, they take advantage of niceness. So you have to be a bitch. So if you're not someone that says no, you learn to say no.
Yeah.
Because people will, they will take. And then now you got to be mean. Now you're fighting. Now you're this. Then you got to beat someone's ass just to show them that, I'm serious. Don't touch my shit,
Yeah. No, it is interesting. That's a whole different conversation, but the differences between women's and men's prison.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean the idea. I spent a month in a women's prison in my role as a TV producer. Filming all 6 different women kind of going through their life, and each one of them was going through something kind of traumatic, or in a positive or negative way, and it was, they don't, you go to prison as a woman and you don't join a gang, but you become part of a family. Is that, did you have that experience?
Yes,
Tiffany?
I did. Yeah, I did. I had
Because don't you have like the motherly?
I had
the
a,
mother
like a prison
and-
mom. Yeah, and I had like 3 prison sisters. Actually, I almost got reindicted with them, but yeah, remember with the stimulus checks that came out, and I almost got indicted. The feds were there trying to talk to me. Yeah, they're like, you and your prison sisters, and I was like, oh my god. But yeah, so yeah, you have a family. Yeah, you do, and you get very close. You eat with them. You see them every day. Like, you are with them all the time. Like, you call them sister. Oh yeah. Yeah. I did that for 10 years. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, totally interesting that because it's sort of a safe place, and whereas when your man has to join a gang, and that's not a safe place.
No.
So did you just go in when you were doing that television show? Was it just 6 women, or did you go into the men's too?
It was just about women. It was kind of a real life Orange is the New Black.
I was just gonna say, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it really was. It was so
and how
great.
long was that? Was it a series?
How long? It was just a 1 hour documentary.
Okay.
Actually, wait, was it 2 hours? No, it was 1 hour. And
what was that? What was that called? Is it on Netflix? Can you see it?
Green is the New Black.
Oh,
It's called Green is the New Black.
Okay.
And
cool.
yeah, we had a woman who in Bedford Hills, the prison I did this in, you could if you had a baby, you could keep the baby for the first year. So one of the inmates was having to give up her baby after a year. One was graduating from college. One was going to her 6th parole hearing, and she did get out. We followed her to go out. One got married and had an insane story with the husband. And yeah, so just different, random.
Is it on Netflix?
I'll
try to find it.
It's on. It was on CNN. I'd have to look up. I'm not even sure. Yeah, I just have the link, so I don't even know where it is.
So it was a state prison.
Yeah, it's a maximum security. It's the only maximum security prison in New York for women.
We'll find the
Maximum
link,
security.
and CJ will put it below.
Okay.
So people can check it out.
Yeah.
So a lot of the men that you interview and you speak to, the maximum, like, they're like in Riker or whatever, like places like that, like they're
No,
like
Rikers is actually jail. So Rikers is like
Oh, okay,
a whole.
or-
That's where
that's what the
you're
county-
holding
okay.
until you.
Oh, I thought that was like
until
a
you-
prison in New York, but okay, I don't know what the prison. I don't really know a lot about the state prisons out there, but I know that like the federal prisons, like on the East Coast, are definitely super, super violent. That's what I've heard.
What surprises me is that it's different, obviously, between states, but it's really different within a state. So, you can, you might be in this absolute shithole in like in Nevada.
Yeah.
There's one great prison and there's one just horrible prison.
Right.
And, as you know, they move you around randomly for many, many different reasons.
Especially
they move
in the
prisoners,
feds, yeah.
but they do move them. And, so you don't, if you're sitting in the really great prison, you can't get too comfortable because you might be going to the horrible prison.
Totally.
Have you mainly dealt with the state prisons or the federal, or both?
I mean, okay, so I would say state when I've gone to, because I did a lot of stories for television, and that was just, true crime / whatever. And those were mostly state.
Okay.
Yeah, mostly state crimes. But I do have a lot of writers in federal prison.
Okay.
But I mean, I shouldn't say a lot. I have some. Yeah. So I don't know as much about federal prison.
Right.
But
So
yeah,
the
state, it's just so different.
The articles that
State
you're
is so
getting
different.
and writing, are they stories that you're getting from the inmates? Then, like stories from in prison, or what are the articles?
Prison Writers is all letters from incarcerated. I mean, sorry, the Prison Writers is a publisher of stories about prison written by incarcerated writers.
Okay.
So we have 700 now, just about a little over, and I'd say the vast majority are men, and we have a handful from women and a handful from like mothers of inmates, but it's almost it's mostly men
Okay.
in state prisons. Yeah.
Where is it published? Is it on your website or on
Yes,
your?
it's prisonwriters.com.
Okay.
And we're starting a newsletter, and and then we hope to be doing some other stuff pretty soon, along the lines of maybe these tablets or
Right. So if there's
but-
any inmates that are watching, they could send a letter to you, and and then you would read it over, and then maybe
how do
Yeah.
they correspond with you if they wanted to reach out to you?
Yeah, there's quite a few email, non-internet email systems, as you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and so I'm part of all of them. I have hundreds and
Okay.
hundreds of
Tiffany
people
would
on them.
know all of that.
yeah, parakeet and all those. Yep.
So I think, for anyone who'd be listening to this, they would probably have to start by sending a letter, unless they were able. A lot of the services, like Core Links, you have to be
Yeah.
invited to join,
Right.
for instance, and so they would have to reach out to me. And our address, is a PO box in New York. So
Okay. Because a lot of inmates do watch our show, and
oh yeah, that's
yeah,
great.
so people they're able to generally.
So with your core links, with the core links that we set up, Tiffany, don't they just have that email address and then they email and then that's how we accept them in core links, right?
Yeah, they have to
So
send. They
do
get
you
the
have
email
a core
address and-
links email that somebody could email you?
How do that work?
They would send you an email request, and then you
Right.
would accept it,
Right.
and then they would be a contact in your
Then you're
core
able
links.
to correspond over
Right.
core
Yeah, so
links.
I guess the email they're writing me at is prisonwriters@gmail.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. So if anybody wants to get
Yeah.
the article
So
out
if you
there,
ever see any new ones to accept,
Right, there you
maybe
go,
they're
yeah.
coming from
Yeah.
the show.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
definitely.
Yeah, great. Yeah. So, and I think I'd have to think it through, but most people, will start with a letter through snail mail, and then I will add them to my whatever system they're on.
Cool. So we
and
could
then
just give them
then we
that
can
PO
write.
box too. We can link the PO box.
We can link the PO box as
Yeah.
well. Yeah. So
Cool.
for core links, they have to send the request to you. You wouldn't.
Exactly.
You'd have to add them through their request. It's not like Securus and stuff like that where you add the people. No, you have to get the
Right.
request from us. From the
Right.
federal
Exactly.
inmates.
Right. And then there's another one, Getting Out, where they can just connect with me without me accepting it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Somehow. Yeah. So it's all different. Yeah. It's all different, and it's all, overly expensive for inmate families. It's,
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
Crazy.
It's just such a horrible industry. The companies that work with prisons and rip off the prisons,
Yeah.
So terrible.
prisoners.
And all
I
of
mean,
And all of their systems are so antiquated too. I mean, hello.
The apps, I just can't believe they didn't deliberately try to make them bad, because the fact that
it's
there's
insanity.
a programmer out there who actually is that horrible at making
Well, and
apps.
even for the families, it's almost like they want to punish the families too, because it is insanity. Every time she would go, like my core link would be locked up for some reason, or
Yeah.
or the
To do a visit or
to
something.
whatever. It was just insane all the time. Like every time I would just cringe going, oh my God, I just deleted this app. Now I gotta.
Oh yeah, and then when you try to reload the app, it gives you, it's like hard to even get back in it.
Well, yeah, because then it'll tell you that it's your login is incorrect, even though you know it's correct, or you try to forget password and you never get a recovery email. It's just
Core Links is trash. All those networks are trash.
They really are.
Like it is purposely that they do that. But then they make it hard to talk to anybody.
Yeah, and it just goes right back to they don't give a shit.
No,
they don't.
It's astonishing. I just don't know how. I mean, I don't know how you could, unless it's deliberate, how you could make such a bad app.
Yeah,
because it's so anti-intuitive.
And every one of them, all of them are like that. It's like the developer. It's like they say, "Hey, you, I need you to develop the shittiest app for these families to talk to their family."
That's gonna glitch every time.
Every time.
Freeze.
Echo.
You're not. Echo. It's gonna log out.
It is horrible. They spend money on so much shit. And what they could do is help. Like.
And we were just talking about the food
situation.
A few episodes ago, we were talking about the food, how disgusting it is, how it's not meant for human consumption, the fish says on the box. And then they have to figure out how to get money so that they can get a $5 pack of tuna that's this big. It's
not for human consumption.
It just sets you up to do. It sets them up to have to do the hustle, so that they can actually eat decent food. And then that goes back to also the men's prisons. I've talked to a few people that say they don't get enough food to eat. They're starving. They're starving, so nutrition and your health, that's like a number one thing that if you are not getting adequate calories and good food, those men, I mean, you guys probably get mad. Those men get violent. Because they don't have enough food, so they're starving, and then they don't have the adequate nutrients either.
Well, I think most all of them, except for the guys who don't know how to hustle, they don't have any outside connection. That goes without saying, but they don't even know how to take on a hustle like cleaning fans for $2. Making greeting cards. I mean, pretty low down hustles. And then, but you have to have a hustle to be able to afford commissary to complement.
Yeah, you have to.
You can't live on the prison food. You just can't.
Terrible.
No, you can't.
Awful.
No, you can't. And they think that you can.
Yeah, of course. So, and you can also, I mean, I'm sure you guys have talked about the toiletries. I mean, you get a stamp-sized piece of soap that is plastic, and a toothbrush that's this long with a few fibers left on it. It's
that fall apart in your mouth while you're brushing your teeth.
That's so bad.
Shit would piss me off.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
people that can't. So
the
like
beds, the mattresses. I mean, everything is just. But the problem is. When people write about that I'd sort of discourage articles, saying the food's terrible. And, maybe I had a shoulder pain that I didn't get help on for 6 months or something like that. People just read those and they're like, well, what'd you expect?
Yeah, I know. I know. When you say the beds are bad, they're like, well, yeah. I mean, did you think that you were going to have this feather pillow? No, I know. I get it. I agree.
Like a thin ass mat that you slept on when you were 5 years old at nap time.
I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. But what she's saying though is people are like, well, especially people
ergonomically for your health, it's horrible.
People that have not had loved ones or friends, family that have been, or themselves that have gone through that, they don't give a shit.
No,
they're like, I mean, we've had people comment on the show saying, stay out of prison then.
Like, when people say that, it's like, honestly, we've been to prison. Stay out of prison. You know what? I understand when people say that. I hear that, but people don't understand.
Yeah.
When you go back And then you go back again and again. Like, I don't want to fucking go back to prison. Something is in my brain that is instilled in there, which I keep doing fucking shit that has sent me back.
Well, right.
But like, they don't fix the problem of why we keep going back.
I mean, they have to fix. Right. They have to.
Or find an alternative. I mean, for someone like you, Tiffany, it's more find an alternative to prison.
Totally.
Because I'm sure, you could, I don't know what your issues are, but whether it's substance abuse or have like trauma from something in your childhood. I mean, like most of the men in prison have been sexually abused.
Right.
And they've never told anyone.
Right.
And so when they do surveys where they, say like 60% or 40% of men have been abused, it's way higher. And if you've been abused, then you're going to do substance abuse. And if you do substance abuse, everything fucks up.
What is that test? What is that test? They what's it called again? The ACE or something. It's a test where they ask a bunch of questions, and however many you hit, you're at the top of that. Are you talking about like predicting future crime? It's called something though. No, it's called something. It's a test. Oh gosh, I'd have to look it up. But they ask questions and like, have you ever been sexually abused? Have your parents been divorced? Have were your parents violent? Do you have addiction in your life? And if you answer yes to those questions, however many questions you answer, your likelihood of going to prison or being an addict or whatever are high. Because of that. And most of the people in prison, I'm sure you've had that test done. Most of the people in prison, their markers are very, very high.
Recidivism is high.
Yeah, very, very high. I mean, just going to prison.
Mine's always high.
Yeah, but because of those markers. But instead of saying, okay, look at the percentage of people that have all these high markers, instead of saying, we have to deal with this, we have to figure this out, when you get out of prison, there are not a lot of resources for that. They say there are, but there are not a lot of good resources. And I was just talking to a friend of mine who also went to prison, and he was also raped when he was a child and didn't grow up with a father. And his mother was mentally and verbally abusive and all of these things. And he said, they care about vets. They care about, you get all these resources when you're a vet and you've had all this trauma.
Yeah.
But they chose to go into the service. When we were children, we didn't choose to be raped and beat and neglected. But we have a stigma. We have a stigma of we're bad and we're not going to get the help that we need. And that's very eye-opening.
Yeah, no, it's just a dilemma because there's not enough money to create the kinds of programs that you would need to actually help people get through abuse problems. I mean, trauma. It's just there's not the funding. There never will be. So you're on your own.
I know, and it's disgusting because you would think that they would make funding a priority because it's an epidemic. It's not,
because people get out of prison. 95% of people get out of prison,
and not even just people getting out of prison. Like, where are the programs for these kids that are? This is happening. Like, why isn't this getting addressed before this turns into this?
Exactly.
Because they are going to go to prison. Like, it's such a cycle, right?
I think that's why there's alternative to prison. I mean, ATI, I'm sort of for joining a board of a.
What is ATI? I've never heard of ATI.
It's our alternative to incarceration.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a philosophy and a strategy, cool. And they're trying to get people, in courtroom situations, they're trying to, plead to judges that they can actually, they're more like on drug charges.
Yeah, like they'll get like a watch that's got a camera on it that they have to take their UA, but they have to be on like a location. They're like on a
gotcha.
It's like inmate outmate. It's what it's called, inmate outmate in Colorado. But the feds don't offer that. But I used to see people when I was in county waiting to go back to prison. I would see all these county people that would get out on this like inmate outmate program. And
is it working?
I don't know. I mean,
What do they? But even when they do an inmate outmate program and they've got a watch on, it's still not fixing the problem of.
I think that they require them to go to counseling and all that stuff. I think they require them to do all these things. I mean,
I think it's also an alternative for young people. So instead of putting some 14-year-old kid
in juvenile hall,
thank God.
in juvie, even in juvie,
because kids need
our community program and So but you're right. I mean, the problem starts at
when you're
10.
a child. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, children. It needs to be with children because by the time you're grown up, you're already set in your
or
on
a
a fast track
or an adolescent.
Yeah,
I mean,
because when 12. Because like if you're an addict going to jail for the first time, you're gonna go out and you're gonna go back. It's like it's gonna happen no matter what. It's no matter what, And then, but for kids though, like helping them like that as a child getting arrested and going to jail for whatever truancy or whatever it is that they go to jail for as children, beating up somebody in school or whatever.
You gotta figure out what
the problem is.
What the problem is
exactly.
And fix it.
Totally. Now before it goes to prison, because when they go to juvenile hall, I've known a lot of guys that have been to juvenile hall and they got out and they started selling dope and they went right to prison. And then, or they got out and they started hanging out with the people they were in prison with and they're on another fast track to catching more time, doing robberies, doing this like my brother, you know.
Isn't juvenile hall just as bad as prison?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really Lord of the Flies, the dominant older boys just
completely
totally rule.
They have no respect in juvenile hall. Like, and when you go to
they're raging hormone crazy people.
Yeah, because you go to grown up prison and you have to have respect. Like there's a respect. Like that's like number one rule: respect. The person that respect people.
And the kids don't have respect
they
because
don't.
because of whatever they've lived through and been through.
Yeah.
They don't care about authority.
No, I'm talking about respecting each other. Not about the people.
I'm saying they don't have any of that because they don't. They've never respected anything.
Yeah, definitely
about their surroundings.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and but once you get older, you just you don't get very far without respect.
I was going to say
federal prison or in the prison system. Period.
Yeah,
you don't get very far. You will clean up after yourself. You will. Yeah, you will. Right. Yeah, like people don't ask for respect; they demand that shit. You're going to respect people you're around. Like you don't have to talk to me. I don't have to talk to you, but you're definitely not going to be disrespectful. You're not going to. That's just a law. That's a law there. It's an inmate law.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of the art I've been telling people to write articles about what would you tell someone about how to survive prison.
Yeah.
What have you learned? What's your advice? And so some of them say things like, you just have to have manners.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like ironic in prison, like. Just say please and thank you a lot.
Yeah.
And just if you tap at someone walking by them, say sorry.
Right. Literally. Yes.
God.
Don't bump my shoulder. Did you mean to do that or what? Or exactly.
Oh God.
Yeah. You spill some coffee in the middle of the hallway. Pick that shit up. Like people get beat up over that.
I think
I remember
they're so polite.
You spilled something on somebody's white brand new sweatsuit. Remember? And I was talking to you on the phone.
I was like, oh my God, I have to pay for this fucking sweatsuit because I spilled coffee on it or whatever it was, Kool-Aid or something.
Out.
Yeah, I was like, I have to pay for this because it's just like a given. When I was younger, I wouldn't have realized that, but now I know. Yeah, you mess something up, you have to pay for it. That's just what it is. Yeah, definitely. It's not like, oops, I just did an accident on your exclusive sweatsuit that they don't even sell anymore here.
It's from Walmart.
Straight up. It's probably, that's like
Walmart.
Yes, I remember when I had my sweatsuit when I did my long bid, and it was like $150 for the top, $150 for the bottom, and then I saw them at Walmart and they were like $10.
Crazy, crazy.
You I was like, what? And the green one, because I had the green, the white, and the light gray. And I was like, damn. It's like I had like $1,000 in sweatsuits, and they were all really $30.
$30.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane.
So,
Yeah.
so going forward for you, like, what is your, like, you've been doing this for a while now, and obviously you're very passionate about it and you do this full time. So what are you, what's your vision for the future? What are your thoughts? Are you just going to keep doing this, or?
Yeah, I'm going to keep doing, keep publishing stories, maybe doing more series or themes or things like that, because, we have so many stories now that we kind of need to switch it up a little bit. But I am really exploring this idea of creating some content from formerly and currently incarcerated prisoners talking to new inmates, speaking to the camera and just saying, these are the lessons I've learned being here 20 years. And, I learned them the hard way, and I'd like to save you some time. And,
Yeah, for
you
sure.
probably aren't going to listen to me, but, it's there.
Such a
And,
great
people
idea.
can
Yeah.
listen to this in the privacy of their own cells. So
Yeah,
their
that'd be
gang
great.
members don't have
Yep.
to know they're listening to it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yep.
That's awesome. But you're in the infancy stages of that.
Infancy is a good word.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. So that's very cool. I think that, like you had mentioned, Tiffany might be a really good person for you to collaborate
Yeah.
with that, because
Oh, yeah, definitely.
she's got a
would
lot
love
of
that. Yeah,
knowledge,
for
and
sure.
and plus she's, I think, like, when you watch those videos and they're educational or whatever, like, I'm a realtor, so looking at CE classes that are pre-recorded, it's like watching paint dry, but she's pretty entertaining. So I think that, you really have to have something like that that's going to be engaging. People are going to want to watch
you do.
it and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it's
So I
got to
think
be.
it's a great
I
idea.
think that's going to be the hardest part, is finding
Yeah.
Yeah.
the right personalities, because
Right.
even though you might have the best written story,
Yeah.
delivery, it's all about delivery.
It is, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And someone that a younger person is going to listen to. I mean,
Right.
certainly a lot of old men, and you're as Tiffany, you're old when you're 35.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Right.
Yep.
some 18-year-old's not going to listen to a 35-year-old unless they have some kind of hook.
Yeah, no, literally. Because I've talked to
Exactly.
many younger people, like, once I turned 35. Yeah.
And you've really
I've helped people.
a
Yeah,
few,
I've helped.
yeah.
Yeah, young people. Yeah, if I see potential in them, or I feel like something's pulling me to talk to them, then I do, and I help people. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, that's a big reason why we're doing this show, too.
Definitely
is to help people.
Yep.
So
all the way. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. No, and it's
Well,
great. You guys
cool.
are doing that.
Well, thank you. And thank you for coming on. This has been really great. Really great.
Good. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Is there anything
yeah.
else you want to say before we wrap it up?
I think I'm good.
All right.
Yeah.
If you like
Appreciate
this
it.
episode, please like and subscribe on the bottom of the screen there. Thank you.
Like, subscribe, share,
And follow
and follow.
all those.
And we love you. And again, let us know if there's anything that you'd like for us to cover. If you have any if you want to come on the show and you've got, something that you want to talk about, we are here to help you guys, and we love you, and we love this community. And thank you so much for coming on.
Yep. Thank you.
You're very
Inside
welcome.
out.
You're welcome.
Definitely
next time.
want to stay in touch.
Bye.
You guys.
Yep.
Bye.
Thank you.
I don't wanna